This is basic pot roast. It's a simple pot roast, and you can start out with pretty much any uh, any size meat or any kind of meat. I'm using uh, a chuck roast, and you want to pick it up with a lot of marbling to make the meat tender. But the way you're gonna cook this is it's gonna make the meat tender anyway. It just tends to be drier if you have less fat in it. Um, if you want a more moist and actually even a more tender pot roast, start off with a lot more marbling than even this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is place this in a pot. Now there's a lot of methods of browning this meat in a frying pan or in a pot, whatever, to caramelize outside to give it extra flavor and stuff like that. You can do that, but I want to keep this as simple as possible. Because the sauces you're going to add, the flavorings you're going to add, is usually going to overpower any of that stuff. Okay, granted, if you want a better pot roast, it's better if you brown this. Okay, season it with salt and pepper and then brown it to give it a crust. Okay, and the caramelization of the outside will give it extra flavor. But generally speaking, I don't bother with that because we're going for convenience here. Okay, so that's several extra steps that I personally feel in the type of cooking that you're doing, where you want it more or less simple, because you don't have that many ingredients. Uh, we go with that method. Okay. Primarily, all you need is a package of um, seasoning. I usually go with Lipton onion seasoning. You can use this particular one is beefy onion, but you can go with the regular onion or whatever onion soup base that you have. Okay. What's nice about the Lipton is it contains actually dried onion pieces in it, so on and so forth. Okay. So what we would do is we would just place the meat in the rice pot, cover it with a package of. You toss the whole package of onion soup, okay? Because it's gonna reduce down into more of a gravy, and it's gonna flavor the whole meat. And that's all you really need. You just need these two items: the meat and the onion soup, because this has all your seasonings in it. It has onions in it, and that's your basics. If this is all you have, this is fine. This will do a really fine pot roast by itself. Now, if you want to kick it up, uh, locally, we like a lot of soyu or a touch of soyu in whatever we cook. So you could add soyu. Uh, if you want to add more garlic, you can use powdered garlic, or in this case, minced garlic. And then if you want to give color to the gravy, you can add browning sauce. It also adds flavor. Okay. Now, I like a little tang to my pot roast, so I always add a generous dose of Worcestershire sauce or Worcestershire sauce. Okay, and if you really want a smoky flavor, just add. Don't go heavy on this. This is really strong. It doesn't really need it, but if you want to give it a more smoky flavor, you can just add just like a half a teaspoon of this. Okay, in this particular instance, less is more. Okay, so you don't really want to go overboard on this. You don't even need it. Like I says again, just use the Lipton onion soup. You can also use, if you have the other types of soup bases. I'm not soup bases, but gravy. You could use a brown gravy, uh, or any of the uh, pre-seasoned packets for gravy or sauces, and you just dump in a whole packet of whatever uh, gravy or sauce you would like to use, and then that's it. Just a packet of sauce, a packet of gravy, or whatever, and then on the pot roast, and then let it go. Okay, so that's the simplest. Now, if you're really stuck, and you happen to save a packet of Saimin base or Ramen base, in this particular it's chicken, then you can just do that. Okay, I would suggest adding, like, if you have fresh onions or even dried onions or garlic or something like that. If you're just using a chicken base or a beef base or beef bouillon, you might want to add some root vegetables like carrots uh, to give the sauce a little bit more substance or richness to it. Okay, there's going to be a lot of richness from the juices of the meat, but by adding vegetables like celery, carrots, onions, and other types of turnips, and you can always add potatoes if you even want it more starchy, um, green beans, and even cabbage if you prefer that type of food, which is more European. Okay, so I'll just show you the basics. Okay, I'm just taking a roast, not doing anything special to it, tossing it in the pot, and I'm just gonna mash it in. Okay, it's gonna shrink. Okay, and then toss in one package of Lipton onion soup and just toss it on. And I'm gonna just add, just to get it going, because there's a lot of liquid in the meat itself. I'm just gonna add like maybe 1 cup of water. Now you can add wine, you can add whatever. You can add other types of beer, if you have a particular liking to that particular taste. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a cup of water, and I'm gonna turn on the rice pot and let it go. You know that the rice pot will begin to boil and the gravy will eventually reduce down and it'll click onto warm. Leave it. Okay, what's going to happen is the heat from the warm is just going to reduce the meat. It's slowly going to cook the meat, and the meat will juice out again, causing more gravy to form. Okay, and that's it. And then you let it go for 3 hours. I would say 3 hours minimum, and it'll be done after that. Okay, then from there you can use it for whatever stews. You can cut it up in cubes or slices. You can use it as a pot roast. You would use it as your main meat entree, and then add it to other dishes. You could slice it, put it over hot rice, put it over mashed potatoes. You can make more brown gravy, and then just cut the meat. And you could even, because the meat's only flavored with the Lipton onion soup as a basic flavor, you can add any other sauces like a tomato sauce or a curry sauce, or even anything like a more brown gravy. You can make a hot roast beef sandwich or something like that, because the meat itself will be tender already because it's cooked so long. Okay, so this is basic pot roast, no frills. You can add anything else you want. Okay, and just a little bit of water just to get it started, and then it'll come to a boil. It'll kick on it and warm once the liquid is reduced, and you just let it go. Okay, what I like to do is sometimes, to improve the heating, I like to throw a towel on, or something like, in this case, a paper towel. It's just to reduce the heat loss and make it, you save electricity that way. But you got to watch out that, make sure this doesn't hang all the way down, because if you cover this pot completely, it'll damage the rice pot. The rice pot does not like to be covered completely, like with a towel or something. So just the lid, okay? You need to let some heat escape. Okay, so that's basic pot roast.